Josh sent me some intercept recordings that are in the network today. There was something about the announcer on these recordings that caught his ear, and I can see why.
We're sorry, your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or call your operator to help you. This is a recording. 412-733. We're sorry.
This announcer, whose name I don't know, has a voice and a style that is in a neighborhood of voices and styles that is very familiar to me.
We're sorry you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. 412-733.
Let me just put these recordings from today's network with the mystery voice sort of in context.
If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. Please check the number or try your call again.
Please check the number or try your call again.
412-759-735-733.
Are you totally confused now? I hope so. No, I just wanted to show how this mystery voice is so similar to two other voices from the past. Now, to disambiguate a bit, this voice...
Please check the number or try your call again. Please consult your directory, or if you need assistance, dial information. This is a recording. 404-735-893.
527-823-76.5, 3.1415. I'm sorry. That voice is Pat Fleet. Actually, those recordings are from 1983 when her name was Pat Trumbull. And her voice is very similar to that of this mystery person that Josh found in Pennsylvania recently.
Or call your operator to help you. This is a recording. 412-733.
But there is another voice from the telephone past that we first found in 1973 that is so close to this voice, I'm actually not sure they aren't the same person. I think they're not, especially since this recording, which is definitely later...
This is a recording.
Sounds like a younger person.
This is a recording.
But let me back up a minute. In 1973, Dave Bell and I did a survey of telephone time numbers in the U.S. We took copious notes, didn't record, and then later lost the notes. Not very good for posterity. But fortunately, in 1981 and 1983, I did go back and get most of those on tape. Time announcement in 1973 was a monopoly for the Autochron Company, and almost all of their announcements were done by 4 people.
The time is 1-2.
This voice is Mary Moore, the original time lady, in this case from the time in Norfolk.
The time is 1-3.
She did the time announcement in New York, Cleveland, northern New Jersey, and many other major cities.
The time is 1-3.
Now, in 1973, the 2 voices that we heard the most were these.
You can find every business in town in New York Telephone's Yellow Pages.
Time 1:57. Temperature 67.
That's John Doyle and Jane Barbie, obviously from somewhere in upstate New York, because the downstate New York area was...
At the tone, standard time will be 1:33. Exactly. At the tone, standard time will be 1:33 and 10 seconds. At the tone, standard time will be...
Right, Mary Moore. Now, the 4th, very commonly heard Autochron voice was... Hold on a minute.
Hi.
What?
It's for you, the new Mickey Mouse telephone at GTE Phone Mart on Beaver Street.
Well, actually, I'm not sure that's for me. I mean, it's...
Beaver Street.
No, I'm... Oh, for God's sake, I meant the Mickey Mouse...
3061.
Okay, that's just wrong.
Fun for the whole family.
All right, that's enough. Anyway, the 4th Autochron voice is Don Elliott, who I first heard on Time Station WWV.
National Bureau of Standards, WWV, Fort Collins, Colorado. Next tone begins at 2 hours, 5 minutes, Greenwich Mean Time.
That's on shortwave, which is also the first place I heard the voice of Jane Barbie. Now, Jane Barbie did take over as the announcer for sister station WWVH in July 1971, also times and ticks and tones. But the first time I heard her, even before I heard her on the phone, was in the summer of 1970 on shortwave.
These experimental transmissions are originating from radio station KC2XIO.
A station appeared between 13 and 14 megahertz with these ticks, tones, etc. That was kind of a practice run for some of the signals that WWV was going to start using in July 1971.
This is KC2XIO. These experimental transmissions are not being broadcast on a continuous basis.
WWV, a station that broadcasts ticks, tones, and the time 24 hours a day, eventually got another Autochron voice, John Doyle.
We'll be back with the time on WWV in just a minute. But first, here's another minute. WWV. All the time, all the time.
Okay, that is John, but not a real air check. So those were the 4 Autochron voices. We heard them everywhere. There were a few exceptions. Every now and then we'd hear a place where a stranger did the announcement, but it was obviously an exception. Then sometimes you would hear a local radio announcer doing the commercial part of the message.
1240 WIST, Charlotte's bright spot.
The time is 11:26. Temperature 72.
In my 1981 survey, even local business owners would chime in and do the announcement for their business.
Guitars, drums, organs, pianos, and everything musical at Wellline.
Time 11:30. Temperature 77.
I now don't recall whether Dave and I found that sort of thing in 1973. Here's another example.
Fun, delicious seafood and reasonable prices at the Hungry Fisherman restaurants.
Shown is South time 12:42.
That one's from Memphis, and what's unusual about it is that the hour phrase and the minute phrase are done by 2 different people. The minute phrase is John Doyle, but the hour phrase is all...
Well, y'all come back now, you hear?
Except that's not who it is, it's this.
Shown is South time 12:42.
Go figure. Sometimes one of the 4 main voices would do the commercial, and the other would do the time and temperature.
Use your telephone company's yellow pages to find every business in town.
Time 12:04. Temperature 66.
From Mountain Bell, the time is 9:14.
There are more and more hours that could be devoted to this subject, and eventually will, perhaps a point-and-click webpage, the Time Project. But I just wanted to give you the lay of the land. Those 4 voices were pretty much it, with one exception. There was another mystery Autochron voice that we never knew who was, and she would turn up just at random, certain places. For example, the part of Michigan that includes Detroit had her on one of those time announcement systems that announces the time every 10 seconds and has distribution points throughout a wide region. But instead of using Mary Moore, like northern New Jersey,
At the tone, the time will be 9:08 and 50 seconds. At the tone, the time will be 9:09. Exactly.
Or Jane Barbie for Philadelphia.
Good afternoon. The Bell Telephone Company brings you the correct time, 2:15 and 40 seconds.
The time in this part of Michigan had this voice.
At the tone, the time will be 10:38 and 20 seconds. At the tone, the time will be 10:38 and 30 seconds.
Michigan Bell had a distribution system that put that all over the southern part of the state, maybe the whole state. That I don't know. But that last one was from Flint. Here's the way it sounded in Detroit as called over a noisy long-distance connection.
At the tone, the time will be 3:59 and 50 seconds. At the tone, the time will be 4 o'clock. Exactly. At the tone, the time will be...
Just to show you how Michigan Bell's distribution network inadvertently affected the EQ, here it is from the Lansing distribution point over a better long-distance connection.
At the tone, the time will be 12:02 and 10 seconds. At the tone, the time will be 12:02 and 20 seconds.
Sounds like it's getting to Lansing over T-Carrier.
At the tone, the time will be 12:02 and 30 seconds.
Now, when Dave and I first heard this Michigan Bell time number, our reaction was no reaction. We noticed that it wasn't Jane and wasn't Mary, and we could also tell that it sounded very autochron in a way. But we didn't think much about it until that voice popped up again in the Commerce, Georgia area. And that got my attention because I knew the Commerce, Georgia area pretty well. I first discovered it in 1972 or 1973. We were passing through the Jefferson, Georgia area on Interstate 85. My parents pulled over to get some gas. I ran to the payphone and I found one of these. Obviously, it was some sort of independent step. I later came to know this dial tone as a Stromberg dial tone. The instructions on the dial card said to dial most local numbers, you had to dial an 8 first. So I dialed an 8. Nice organic sounding wire trunk with some hum on it. I tried dialing a vacant code because I figured this was some sort of a tandem and I wanted to hear the vacant code recording.
I'm sorry, we're unable to complete your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator for assistance. This is a recording. 404-335.
It was a Jane Barbie recording that was so low, and it had an ID, but I couldn't hear what it said. It ended in 5, I knew that. And shortly after that, I had to get back in the car. Well, it turned out it was 335. The town was Commerce. The telephone company here was called the Mid-Continent Telephone Company, a multi-state independent. I researched this area from New York, but in 1977 I was able to actually go down there and make some local recordings. So let me show you from my recordings that I made on the ground in 1977 what this area was like. Commerce turned out to be an NX1, the North Electric crossbar switch, and it's the one that sounds most like the main Greenville, North Carolina NX1 of all those I have on tape. NX1s, when you dial your own number, put you into a reverting circuit that introduces with a recording.
The number you have dialed is a party on your line.
please hang up and give their telephone time to ring before lifting your receiver again. This is a recording. The number you have dialed is a party on your line.
That's an NX1 for you. Here's 1 plus a vacant code.
You've reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer...
Hello? Seems the recording is not working, but... Oh, hello. Well, the recording's not working, but hey, there are plenty more where that came from. Well, let's check out the tributaries. There are 6 of them. They're all local, and they're also part of the long-distance sector, for which Commerce is an NX1 tandem. Here's a call to one of the 6 tributaries, Homer.
I'm sorry, the number you have reached is not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please hang up and dial your operator. This is a recording. 404-677.
So Homer's a Stromberg XY, and again it has a Jane Barbie recording. Are you noticing a pattern here? It gets worse. By 1977, each of the tributaries had 2 Jane Barbie recordings. Here's the other one as called from Homer locally.
We're sorry you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording. 404-677, vacant level.
Maysville 652 is also an XY. It has a dial tone that's the same pitch as Homer, but it has a little variation at least. Here we're going to call Pendergrass. Calling Pendergrass from here, you have to dial 8 first, which puts it through the Commerce NX1.
I'm sorry, the number you have reached is not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please hang up and dial your operator. This is a recording. 404-693.
Alrighty, so this one's also an XY. Same type of ring, same type of intercept. And yes, this one has 2 of them as well. Let's try Nicholson, which from here you dial with 8 first.
sorry you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording, 404-757, vacant level.
Have you ever heard the expression, too much of a good thing? When I first researched this area in 1973, all 6 tributaries had the same type of ring, and they all had Jane Barbie recordings. Just the sort of stuff I like, but monotonous. So I've been scouring the Commerce area tapes for highlights, and here's one. From Maysville, I tried to dial 8 plus one of the tributaries, and the Commerce NX1 ended up dialing, yes, dialing, into its own Circuits Busy recording.
We're sorry, but all circuits are busy now. It's just a temporary condition, and we hope you will try your call again later. This is a recording, 404-335.
Going back to the Commerce NX1, here's a call to Jefferson that goes over O-Carrier. O-Carrier is a very old carrier system that goes over open wire. It has a distinctive howl and audible companding. Although Jefferson 367 used to have the same type of ringtone as all the others, this kind. By 1977, it had been changed to a pseudo-modern tone set. Here's that and you-know-who over O-Carrier.
We're sorry you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording, 404-367, vacant level.
Well, as you heard, that recording has a little problem with speed. But now this is really cool. You can hear the companding and the howl of the O-Carrier, plus the buzz of the NX1 power supply. Now I'm going to flash. Oh, did you hear that? That little companding squeak that it made when I reset the trunk. Here's a 1. The reorder's coming from Jefferson. That's why you can hear the companding noise. But if I flash just the right amount of time, there, see the difference? No more companding noise because this is the Commerce NX1 reorder tone. It's local. Maysville 652 had a different ring by the time I recorded it on the ground. Here's a call to Maysville from the Commerce NX1, reached by dialing the test code 951, which for some reason is the same as
652.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So am I, but there's interesting subtle stuff to hear, even as this monotony is going on in the foreground. Let's try calling Jefferson one more time, this time from Maysville. I'll have to dial 8+. We'll see if the recording's gotten any better.
I'm sorry, the number you have reached is not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please hang up and dial your operator. This is a recording. 404-367.
The older version of that is in the long distance series, and you can see things didn't change from 1974 to this 1977. There's still a problem with speed. Oh well, let's go to Commerce and call the time.
Remember, haste makes waste. You save time by dialing accurately. Time 3:14. Temperature 65.
What did you say, Jane?
Haste makes waste.
This is a recording.
Okay, well, there, ran I'll try, right a slow, row down, round.
If you're building or remodeling, be sure to see your telephone man.
Telephone man? It's the telephone lady that we've been seeing for the last 20 minutes. Anyway, in the initial research I did find recordings in all the tributaries and Commerce, and every one of them had that classic Jane Barby announcing style where she says, "This is a recording," and there's an exclamation point after the word sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What? One day in 1974, this strange voice suddenly turned up on Nicholson and Commerce, replacing Jane, and the Commerce recording had a strange text.
I'm sorry. We are unable to complete your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again or ask your operator for assistance. This is a recording. 404-757. I'm sorry, you have dialed incorrectly. You must dial the full 7-digit directory number. This is a recording. I'm sorry, you have dialed incorrectly. You must dial the full 7-digit directory number. This is a recording.
So in 1974, that was kind of a surprise. But again, we didn't think too much about it, because the recordings did not stay on for long. They got replaced with Jane again, just like this voice is going to be replaced by Evan sooner or later. Anyway, so in 1981, we did that survey of the time numbers. When we got around to Roanoke, Virginia, lo and behold,
Keep in touch by long distance. Rates are lower after 5 p.m. and on weekends. The time is 9:01. Temperature 71.
now this time I was paying attention, and I recognized that voice back from the Commerce area. So now I knew Jane had a stand-in. There's a stand-in who comes in for Jane every now and then, a substitute. We don't know who she is, and she's probably that same person who was on the time in Michigan back then. So I checked in 1981 to see whether that was still the voice on the Michigan time.
At the tone, the time will be 10:38.
Well, what do you know? There she is. That's who it's been all along, seems like. So we'll go back to Roanoke. There were some other telco spots on that one.
When you care enough to say it yourself, call long distance. The time is 2:53. Temperature 69. Save on long distance calls all weekend and after 5 p.m. weekdays. The time is 2:54. Temperature 69. It only takes a little while to look it up before you dial. The time is 2:55. Temperature 69. Please be sure of the number you are calling. Consult your directory. The time is 3 o'clock. Temperature 69. Long distance is more economical station to station. The time is 3:03. Temperature 69.
So this was NotJane, and that's when I started calling her that. Now, in 1981, a voice very similar to this, might be the same person, turned up on 2 recordings in an ESS in Minneapolis.
We're sorry, your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or call your attendant to help you. This is a recording. We're sorry, your call cannot be completed as dialed. Repair service for assistance. This is a recording. We're sorry, your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check your instruction manual or call the repair service for assistance. This is a recording. We're sorry.
Now, the last place that I heard NotJane, so-called, was in a recording in Maxey's, Georgia, part of that same Mid-Continent telephone company that is in the Commerce area. This is kind of south of there, the part of the state that revolves more around Athens instead of Commerce.
Thank you. We're sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording, 404-759, vacant level. You may dial another number now. Thank you. We're sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again.
And what you've heard is all I've got of this mysterious person who is not Jane but stands in for her from time to time. That was recorded off the network in late 82 or early 83. Now, of course, it could have come in a lot earlier, so it might be interesting to see if there's a recording of calling into Maxey's, Georgia, from an earlier time. Well, you know, it turns out there is. I called into there from Athens, Georgia, in the spring of 1977, from the number 1 step. So let's see what kind of recording we had back in the spring of 77.
We're sorry, you've reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording, 404-759.
Well, maybe that explains why NotJane had to come in there and record a new drum for him, 'cause the old one was slow rowing.
Remember, haste makes waste.
So back to the point, we know that NotJane was still in business, still sitting down and substituting for Jane as late as 1977. Because that recording you just heard there was from 77, and that got replaced with a NotJane recording sometime after that. So who was NotJane? Well, I think I know, actually, because back in the mid-70s, when they were first starting to publicize Jane as a celebrity, she mentioned in at least one or two articles that I distinctly recall reading that every now and then a family member would sit in for her. Now, I am sure, absolutely sure that I did read that. So, NotJane is someone related to Jane, most likely, because that was the only voice prior to like 1982, maybe 81, when Pat Fleet showed up. Prior to that time, this was the only substitute for Jane there was. So my theory is NotJane is a family member. Now this voice that Josh told us about,
Please check the number or try your call again. 412-733.
probably isn't the same person as NotJane. It's definitely not the same as Pat Fleet. But her name is not a secret. Probably someone listening to this knows who she is. And as for me, well, I guess you can tell I'm not Evan. I'm actually his brother Kevin. Yeah, he calls me the redneck. You don't hear from me very much, but he just asked me to come in, sit in for him for a while, just to show you how a family member can sort of substitute. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's me. There is this mysterious so-called allergy going around that's causing people to manifest weird symptoms. Swollen throat, unexplained bruises, and then in a few days it's gone. The doctors are saying it's the allergies, it's the stuff coming off the trees. Worst season we've ever seen. Okay, all right. Well, I guess I'll take your word for it. The doctors always know what they're doing, don't they? So coincidentally, this afternoon I found out I could talk again. I just had a different voice. So I decided to go ahead and use it. To me, I sound like my own redneck brother that I never had. I'm an only child. And if I try to talk normally, ouch, ow. So I gotta just do it like this. We are living in some interesting times, folks. So anyway, that's it for this particular rather unstructured romp through the old tapes. And now that I've brought up the Commerce, Georgia area, I think I'm going to pull up some highlights from my visits there, trying to limit the number of Jane Barbie recordings I include in the program or programs, and hopefully I'll get some of those put together for you. And by then, I think I'll have my voice back. And the damn thing is, when that happens, I'm not going to be able to do this voice if I wanted to. I'm just not that good. I got a whole different throat working tonight. Anyway, I hope I get my voice back soon. If I don't, I guess I'll have to start doing play-by-play next to John Madden or something.